Hey footwear friends, it's Ed Midsole Bud here. You may remember me from videos such as Runner's Nutrition, Are Mars Bars Addictive, and the best running shoe bargains of September 2024. But today I'm here with a review of a shoe that I've picked up with my own earth credits, dough, moolah, spondulix, or cash, the Hoka Mach X 2. This is a speedy plated banger of a shoe and I'm excited to tell you about it. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. Do hit that subscribe button if you're yet to do so, and also give this video a thumbs up like. Comment as well to help fight the old YouTube algorithm. Dankeschön. Also keep your eyes open. I'm dropping a new channel soon, which is going to be predominantly music reviews, so I'll let you know when it's out there. And I got a few videos stacked up as well, ready for you. Stats wise, the MACH X2 is coming in slightly lighter than the Pegasus Plus from Nike. In my UK size 11, I've got about 281 grams, so it's just under 10 ounces for this bad boy. The weight is beautifully distributed between the upper and the midsole on this one. I've got about 47 mil of heel stack in my pair, and there's about 41 millimeters up front, so we got around about a 6 mil drop there. Hoka reckon it's a 5 mil drop, but I think we're in the ballpark, so it does show my measurements are as accurate as ever. For the sample size, I think you've got about 44 millimeters and then 39 millimeters in the forefoot. Don't forget, kids, as the shoe size goes up, the shoe gets bigger. Weird science, eh? Imagine if the stack did stay the same for the larger shoes. You know, Tim Gross would end up with like a huge plank of foam that was really, really long, but without the actual stack there. So Tim doesn't want that. I've got about 11.8 centimeters in the widest point of the forefoot and about 9.6 in the heel, so it's a little bit more traditional, I suppose. I say that with tongue firmly in cheek. There's a little less significant kind of width to it than something like the Pegasus Plus. More in line with the Boston 12 from Adidas. There's two foams on display here, a slightly softer Pebax foam, which is directly under the forefoot, and then in the heel you've got a lot more of a, I think it's an EVA blend, I believe. Pebax stuff is around about Shore A24, which is very soft. These set me back about 135 earth credits if I remember rightly. There's a 20% discount from sportshoes.com on the retail price, but they're not like paying me to make this video or anything. I just happen to buy them from there. I am an indie shoe head in this case. If you like independent stuff, then you should go and check out The Beaten Track, which is a fantastic record store in Sherborne, Dorset, here in the UK. Loads of great new releases all the time, lots of old vinyl in there as well. They are my go-to for new music. Go and check them out. I'll put a link in the description. Upper-wise, it's a bit like a Tempo Next Percent, so you can start getting excited already, okay? Really like the material that Hoka have used here. It's quite light, it's breathable, it's flexible yet containing. Simple overlays, superb laces. They are soft like a kitten but strong as an ox. Perhaps a touch long, but they stay tight and yeah, they're great laces. I mean, what more do you want? The tongue, perhaps my only real reservation here about the upper of the shoe. It is a little bit short. Some people will want a little bit more padding up here on the final eyelets. Maybe we'll get that in the Hoka Mach X3. This one very much feels, in terms of the upper, like a training partner to something like the Rocket X2. There's some CeeLo X1 vibes in there too. Kind of mimics the upper of the Rocket, perhaps a little bit more there. Don't expect the Christmas jumper-like material had on the CeeLo X1. This is more sort of chainmail style, but in a good way, like in a sort of Solaire sort of way from Dark Souls. That's a very niche joke there, Ed. I think with the Mach X2 though, it's all about minimal touches here. The overlays are very light. It's just all good shoe stuff here rather than extra things we don't need, like stupid pull tabs for example. There's none here. Now, a number of viewers I've noticed have commented about heel slip in this shoe. I have to be honest, I've had none of that whatsoever. I've used a runner's knot, cinched the shoe down. I've used some socks that are not threadbare, and I did actually try it with some threadbare socks at the back as well to see if I could get some heel slip, and it was just a glorious fit really. There's no movement back there. Perhaps if you're really engaging the heel a lot and you're kind of sinking into the back of the shoe over and over again, because you're like marathon training and your legs are tired and you've been given a shoe you've got to review, then perhaps that's why some people got a bit of heel slip. I don't know, but I haven't got any there. It fits great. So it is a heel counterless design. It's sort of very floppy and flexible back here. I found the ankle collar kind of grips around my foot really nicely. I've got a lot of range of motion. It feels fast, the upper on this shoe. It's light, it's airy, it's containing, and it's very comfortable. I think the only fly in the ointment, just want a little bit more tongue length here. For my sort of narrow to normal width foot, it was absolutely fine. I'm going to give it a 2.9 out of 3. Just the tongue issue, letting it down a little bit. Midsole. Midsole.
Midsole now.
Midsole wise, the combo of foams here is absolutely superb. Pretty much for any pace that I've tried it at, it's been absolutely fine on some easy to sort of steady paced runs. Dynamite on reps around about 5k or 10k effort for me. That Pebax plate that we've got here in the MACH X2 really does provide a bit of propulsion and pop. There's just enough rigidity there for it not to feel just like a standard foam shoe, and it seems to stabilize everything as well. I can see the MACH X2 appealing to loads of people out there. If they want like a mid-weight warrior really to do a load of training in, that's got some pop, and the drop here that we've got is just sublime for me. It seems to work well. Similar feelings, I suppose, to what I have in the Metaspeed Sky, Paris and Edge with the same sort of drop. That seems to work for me. I seem to have found the sort of magic figure that just really lets me run untethered. It sort of stays out the way and just lets me increase the turnover, very much like its lighter race brother, the Rocket X2. I think the stack here will facilitate some longer runs, perhaps with some easier sections and then some faster paced intervals in there. The foam's forgiving, yet it's responsive up front as well, stable and very enjoyable to run in. There is a fabric lasting board on top of the foam that's directly under your foot, so it's a little bit different to the Rocket X2, a little bit more stable. I think that's why they've chosen that design feature here. I think if you lost some of like the rubber depth here on the outsole, you're not really that far off the Rocket X2, and of course that's like your premium race shoe. So this Hoka just feels very enticing to run in. There's some other shoes I should have been testing out, but I just keep lacing this one up every single day early in the morning. It's that type of shoe. I just want to keep running in it because it just makes the whole experience very enjoyable. The stack doesn't really feel all that over the top considering how much we've got here. I mean, this is technically an illegal shoe, but you know, for everyday mortals and stuff, it doesn't really matter all that stuff, okay? It's certainly better than the SC Trainer 3, damn sight cheaper as well, like 60 odd quid. And it's lighter as well. What more can anybody demand from a midsole of a shoe? It's a real steal as well, the price I got this for. Bit more energizing than perhaps the Pegasus Plus. I think that's down to the fact we don't have so much midsole width here in the forefoot. Just a bit more exciting than the SC Trainer 3, and a bit more left field as well in terms of the looks and the design than the Boston 12. For me, for the midsole, a 3 out of 3. It's a trainer, it's a racer, absolutely superb. Outsole now. Outsole is another area that Hoka have really improved on over the last couple of years. This stuff is sticky rubber, it's really coarse, there's good depth to it, top-notch traction on the road and the pavements right now. Bends and corners certainly not an issue in the MACH X2. There's a very reasonable spread of rubber here. They've chosen to have some cutouts here of the exposed midsole foam. That creates a little bit more bounce, a little bit more give to it all, and there's very few areas of the exposed midsole that are going to get chewed up over time. I think these cutouts here just to provide a little bit more compression to the foam. It all just seems to give and bounce just in the right places for me. Also with the rubber featured here, I think it's the same stuff that we've had on some of the other Hoka shoes of recent time, and that's been very, very durable. I've not seen any early wear whatsoever. That's a good sign for this model going forward. Now, there's been absolutely no chance of significant wet conditions to run in. There was supposed to be some big storm today, but the town seems to have completely bypassed it somehow. The ridges are of reasonable depth here though, and I don't see that it'd be too much of a problem. This is some really sticky rubber. I find it just as good as some of the other Hokas that have hit the spot for me over 2023 and 24. That rubber does reach back into the rear of the shoe in the heel here, protecting things a little bit. So if you are a heel striker, don't see that being much of an issue. And up front, it's quite concentrated here, so some good significant toe off. And almost no debris getting caught up anywhere in the shoe, which is a bit of a first really. Haven't really had to clean them, and that's after like 14 miles or so. I'll give these a 3 out of 3 for the outsole so far. We got to talk value now. I think at retail 170 is a little bit steep, especially if you're talking training shoes. The Boston 12 was always a good one there at 140. I feel if they just started to match that a little bit, bring this down by like about 15 quid or something, starts to make it a slightly more attractive price. But I'm sure you can head to Sport Shoes. Perhaps you could download their app or something and get yourself 20% off some of the models that are currently there. You should be able to find out how to do that. For the price I paid, with a big discount there, the quality certainly is here out of the box. Just looking around the shoe, it just feels really well put together. That's been the case, in fairness, for all the Hoka shoes I bought over the last couple of years. When I compare this to the Super Blast 2 as well, I can't help but feel that the Hoka, being a little bit cheaper, it's just a bit more exciting and enjoyable to run in. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Super Blast 2 is a really great shoe. It's a big surface area there, and being a sort of lighter framed fellow, sometimes I feel it's a little bit overkill. Feels a little bit harder to pick up the speed in that one than it does in the MACH X2. It's plated, it's nimble, and it's kind of race ready, really. I think you could even run like a 5 or 10k in this, no problem. Call me crazy, but that's how I'm feeling. So Hoka are really picking up some good market share, I think, at the moment over some of the bigger brands. And if they keep putting out bangers like this one, then they're only going to get even more of it. Use it for training, use it for racing. A great super trainer from Hoka. I'll give it a 2.8 out of 3 for value at the retail price. Not quite perfect, a few millimeters here in the tongue, slightly lower price to attract some more bees to the honey. So there's a few little improvements there that they can tweak, but it's a real banger. Have you picked up the MACH X2? Is it on your radar? What do you make of my review? Let me know down in the comments. Very quick musical interlude for you. Heaven knows why, but I've been listening to Scott 4 from Scott Walker. I don't know what made me put it on, but I really wanted to hear the track, The Seventh Seal. I've no idea what this one's about, but it's got vibes of that sort of spaghetti western style, but later on it almost morphs into boss music from like a Dark Souls game. Scott Walker's voice on this one is absolutely beautiful. The tone, the warmth, and the reverb that they've applied to it is just magnificent. The backing vocals later on build up, multi-tracked choir behind his voice just elevates the track to this sort of ethereal level. I guess when you consider the lyrics, it almost sounds like a story between a knight sort of battling death itself. Often feel like that's something we're doing when we're doing a race or something. You can feel like you're going to completely capitulate and explode, but you're trying to battle against the bits in your mind that are telling you to stop. A truly magnificent album as well, Scott 4. I love all of Scott Walker's albums, even some of the more modern, very harder to get into tracks. Scott 4 remains one of the best out there. Boy Child on that album is equally as good, really. Another one to send shivers down your spine, get your hair standing on end. Go and check it out, Scott 4 from Scott Walker. Thanks for tuning in, people. It is always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment to help with the algorithm. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you